Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Ladies Who Lead podcast and YouTube channel. It's great to have you here. And today we have an amazing guest who joins me from the coaching field, and her name is Hazel. Hazel is a 30-year corporate She has a 30-year corporate career spanning financial services, tech, non-for-profit, and charity sectors. Hazel is passionate about helping people and purpose-driven leaders successfully navigate career transitions with clarity and rock-solid confidence through her one-to-one coaching service offering and positive intelligence mental fitness training. Wow, that sounds amazing. Welcome, Hazel.
Oh, thank you, Nari. I'm delighted to be here, and I'm excited to share my learnings with everyone on this podcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you can agree when you're a coach and as you're progressing through your own coaching journey, it's a learning experience. And you find that as time goes on, your skills and your achievements, they develop. So you stack all of that with the experience and you have so much more to offer, which is why I love speaking to people who have been in the field for a long time, like yourselves. That's amazing. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about a topic which is becoming more and more kind of in the know nowadays and more trendy, and it's called mental fitness. So often people speak about mental wellness, they speak about mental health, but mental fitness is almost like a new hot topic and people are wondering, what is this? So we're here today to talk about this and to really differentiate what exactly mental fitness is, why people need it, and the benefits that come with having mental fitness in one's toolkit. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to just talk about what it actually is. So when I was thinking about this, it's mental fitness for me indicates a person's ability to think clearly and make decisions efficiently and effectively. And in parallel, we can compare, for example, physical fitness, which relates to a person's body's ability to function. But mental fitness is so much more than just mental and physical, isn't it? So I'm going to invite you, Hazel, to really go through what actually mental fitness is and what it entails.
Yeah, no, thanks, Nari. I mean, I love what you've touched on already. I liken to mental fitness as being like our physical fitness. So our physical fitness dictates how well we respond to physical challenges, whether we're running for a bus or we're climbing a mountain. And if we want to strengthen a muscle like a bicep, we know we need to lift weights. Yeah. And our mental fitness dictates how well we can respond to mental challenges, such as dealing with, I'm sure we can all relate to this, juggling work and life or family life, or dealing with, harder, tougher things like dealing with a bereavement. So it's on a scale, on a spectrum. And mental fitness for me it's our capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset. So our mindset basically drives our behavior and our action, and it impacts our performance, our peace of mind, our wellness, and our relationships.
That's amazing. Yeah. And it's all encompassing. There's so many things that it derives from and then it affects, and it's almost linked very closely to when you talk about having a positive outlook and having optimism, from having, for example, a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So a lot of people are talking about the difference between the two, and we know from our own journeys that actually the outcomes are very different. So over a prolonged period of time, although it's normal to go from like growth mindset to fixed mindset, like thinking occasionally, but what the mindset that we hold dominant in our mind and in the forefront of our thoughts really affects our outcomes. So that's really powerful. So when we think about, for example, the difference between, say, mental fitness and mental health, I know people will be wondering what is the difference in that. So is there something you can add there?
Yeah, I mean, mental health for me is, I would imagine most people are aware of mental health, which is these are the things that I can do on a daily basis, maybe to improve my mental health. Whereas mental fitness is literally it's like our muscles. So mental fitness for me is about, these are the things that we can do from a cognitive process, but also an emotional process as well. So it's actually using certain muscles in order for us to improve our mental fitness.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, mental fitness is more than the absence of, say, mental illness or mental health. It's beyond that self-care and recovery. It's more about like the growth and the thinking and the feeling that helps us to perform at our best in all areas of our life for that optimal performance that we look for. So mental fitness is developed by equipping people possibly with that mental health as something that they can strengthen and improve, and it's an ongoing journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I fully agree. It's exactly like physical fitness. You know, if you stop running or you stop your exercise, you'll become unfit. So mental fitness it's a daily practice. And you know, the great news is that we know we can improve it. It's not fixed. We can absolutely change it.
Yeah, amazing. So just as physical fitness helps our bodies to stay strong, mental fitness helps us to achieve and sustain a state of good mental health, healthy mindset. So when we're mentally healthy, we enjoy our life and we enjoy our environment and the people in it. So we can be creative, we can learn, we can try new things, take on opportunities, even take risks. So when we're not doing these things, surely that's a cue to develop our mental fitness. So I want you to now elaborate on what we've already discussed and kind of advise all the people. What are the signs that somebody needs to focus on their own mental fitness, on developing it?
Yeah, so the question I'd ask is, how much does your mind serve you and how much does it sabotage you on a daily basis, especially when you're faced with challenges? So here's the thing, unexpected things always happen throughout the day, and it's our ability to respond in a certain way. So when we need to focus it, and as I said, this is something we need to practice daily actually, but it's when we find ourselves slipping into more of a place of stress, anxiety, self-doubt, overwhelm, frustration, restlessness, unhappiness. Yeah, so we're experiencing more of that state, which is sabotaging our success, versus emotions such as empathy, curiosity, creativity, calmness. I mean, even as I talk about that, I can already feel my own state changing.
Mm-hmm.
So your mind, and if your mind is sabotaging you more than it's serving you, then absolutely it's critical that you look at developing your mental fitness, because mental fitness is everything.
Yeah.
So it really, and athlete, any peak performer knows this. Mental fitness is key to help us overcome these obstacles in a way that will serve us rather than sabotage us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it just reminds me of when we say you are what you think about. So when we realize the power of our thoughts and how it affects our outcomes, then we really can become attuned and conscious of our thoughts. And like they say, if you knew the power of your thoughts, you'd never think a negative thought again. I know that's difficult in reality with life and circumstances and experiences, but it's something that we can become consciously aware of and try to hone in on. So yeah, that's really important, and the length of time that we spend thinking about things as well. And also I think it helps, comes into play when we think about solving problems, when we think about solutions, because like they say, we may have a certain mindset when a certain problem happens, or when we say are having a mindset that's not serving us, that's sabotaging us. But then when in the recovery or the solution of that problem, the mindset needs to change. So you cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that created the problem. The mindset needs to change, and that's a cue that the mental fitness needs to change as well alongside it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So as you were talking very relevantly about, say, athletes, and you were bringing them into the conversation, if we think about mental fitness as a muscle or a set of muscles, can a person who feels like feels stuck or feels limited, feels like they've got nowhere to move with their mindset or their thoughts currently, what hope do they have? Can they grow their mental fitness muscles?
Yeah, so the great news is this is all evidence through research, across 4 main areas, which is neuroscience, cognitive behavior psychology, positive psychology, and neuroscience. And it can actually pinpoint different regions in the brain involved in producing different thoughts or feelings. So it can identify neural functions which is involved with either the activation of the survival region of our brain, what we call saboteurs, and the thriving region of our brain, what we call our, you can call it different names, but in our sage, it's a wiser part of our being that actually when we tap into it, that we can experience these positive emotions and in flow state. So when we're in the survival region, that's when our inner voice doesn't serve us. And you can call it a variety of names, whether it's saboteurs or gremlins or inner chatter, but it's basically negative and it's not serving us. And it's generating these emotions when we handle life's challenges. So they exist in a different part of the brain.
Yeah.
Mainly it's driven in the left-hand side of the brain, and they produce much of the, as I talked about before, the stress, anxiety, self-doubt, anger, some of these tougher emotions such as shame, guilt, frustration, mind chatter. But here's the thing. These are only helpful for a split second. Mm-hmm. They're alerting us to dangers or issues. But if we stay in these negative emotions, they're hurting our ability to see clearly and use the most impactful resource. So, what tends to happen from a physiological state is your breath starts getting very shallow. Your pulse gets, faster. You go into that fight, flight, freeze response, and we cannot think clearly. Whereas when we're in the thriving region of our brain, that's a completely different part, call it your inner sage or the wiser part of your being. It's in that middle prefrontal cortex, empathy circuitry, and it's parts of the right brain, and it generates the positive emotions. So I've already mentioned, empathy, compassion, gratitude, curiosity, joy of creativity, calm, clear-headedness, laser-focused action. These are all things that we all want to be operating from, and it's wired for creativity and the big picture awareness of what's important and the best course of action. So when we activate this region of our brain, it creates a release of endorphins that counter the negative impact of stress-induced cortisol. So it's great that we now know this and it's evidence, etc. And the great thing is we can do something about it.
That's the most promising thing, a beautiful thing, that we can do something about it. And something you mentioned which really stood out to me was about that inner voice. So the inner critic, the gremlin, the inner demons, and we all have it, and this is it's present in everyone's lives. And when we're going about different situations, different scenarios in the corporate world, in our personal lives, we're attending events, we're doing presentations, we're in all sorts of situations, and so often we're in complex situations, and that is the thing that really drives us. So strengthening and building that relationship with that little whisper that you have in your head for the rest of your life, from the moment that you have conscious awareness as a child, that is such an important relationship to develop, and it will drive you to success basically, and help you on your mental fitness journey, because I do truly believe that it is a journey. It's not an overnight story or success. It requires time, commitment, investment, and most importantly, positive intention. You've got to want to do it, which means if you want to do it, if you have your why, then you will invest the time, the effort that it takes to learn how, and then to put in the positive determined action to actually do it, and then obviously reap the benefits and the results. So that's really inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. So yeah, then and next we will look at ways to get more mentally fit. So the first one that stuck out for me, I mean, fit, the word fit, I mean, in it, I know it's mentally fit, but the first obvious one that I thought about is physical exercise. So I'll share this one and then I'll let you continue. So for me, the mind and the body are interconnected. Just as mindfulness can relax the muscles of the body, working out can relax the mind and relieve stress and tension. It can also play into a sense of achievement, which is kind of, you know, it makes you feel, it gives you that feel good, those positive endorphins. And personally in my life, this has really helped me throughout highs and lows, particularly lows. If it wasn't for that, me being committed to the physical exercise element of my life, because I've had that ever since I was a kid, I think I would have been in a lot worse off situation. So I really see the benefit and would recommend the benefit of investing in your physical health, because it does wonders for your mindset. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to elaborate on that and give us a few more ways that we can get mentally fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's lots of connections between movements, you know, mind-body connection, and as you say, exercise. Absolutely, it releases the feel-good endorphins, hormones, so we feel good. And you know, often when we're thinking about creativity, it's in the moments of, you know, when we're having a shower or maybe we're having a walk in nature. In fact, it's when our mind tends to be quieter, and I think that's the key thing. So when we're not listening to that inner chatter, and that's actually the first muscle, so it's our awareness of what our voice is telling us. So what is the inner chatter telling us? And it's you know, and I say simply, but it's about raising awareness and acknowledging and accepting that that is there. Yeah. So what's the learning, or what's, you know, the wisdom from that? But basically we're wanting to intercept that and discredit that, you know, because here's the thing, we can all learn, we can all improve, you know. So it's trusting that. So the first muscle is intercepting what I call the saboteur. So it's intercepting the saboteur muscle.
Yeah.
So, you know, people I'm sure can relate in a work context to avoidance. Yeah. You know, avoiding a difficult conversation.
Absolutely.
Or procrastination. You know, we procrastinate on certain tasks. And it can become an habitual habit, right? Yeah. So it's being aware of that pattern and intercepting it. It's almost like quieting that voice down. And then to help us with that, once we recognize what's happening, is what I call the self-command muscle. So self-command is about commanding our mind to quiet the chatter that's going on and to amplify the wiser part of our region. So we can use simple daily exercises to do that. So it's when we become so present in the moment using one of our 5 senses. Yeah. You know, so when you walk in nature and you really tune in to, you know, the sounds, the smells, the sights, yeah, taste, you know, the smells, you know, etc. But really tune in. You're literally switching off that voice because you're tuning into the here and now. And I call it like it's almost like a mental break. You're breaking away from these thoughts. And when you command yourself to get present, which is the second muscle, you're then more able to access the sage part of our brain, which is the one that handles in a calm, clear-headed way with positive emotions. So love for empathy, love for curiosity, love for creativity, love for the bigger picture, love for calm action.
Yeah, so I call it practicing savoring. So savoring the moment. So like you said, intercepting your day at a particular point and just stopping and being still, feeling the moment, feeling the experience, and just feeling the fact that you're alive. Because we're so busy, we have so many things going on in our lives. Everybody's so busy these days. We forget. We just forget that we're simple human beings and we're breathing. And you know, the simplicity of life leaves our mind with the complexity of the things that we have to do. So I just love that, what you've just said, and it's something that I'm trying to practice as well. And multitasking is not the way. It's about being focused, doing things one at a time, being invested in whatever you're doing, and also taking that time to take breaks to, as you say, be present in the moment. I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think movement is a great way to intercept that as well. So it's particularly when you're sat behind a screen,
Yeah.
it's being able to, you know, shift, move, because that changes your physiology.
Yeah.
Even standing up and looking outside, you know, I've got the garden here, that's why I'm looking out there.
Yeah.
But interrupting that pattern, you know, if we're defaulting into that, you know, things that aren't serving us, like avoiding and procrastinating and saying it has to be perfect, you know, like, oh, it has to be just right, because that's not serving us. So yeah, I love what you say about, you know, bringing ourselves back and you know, to the present moment, and then practicing, and I, you know, I'm still learning myself, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say there's certain individuals, even in the workplace, that might trigger us or hijack us, or where we default to people pleasing.
Yeah.
And for me now, it's about, well, let's get curious about that. What's really happening here?
Yeah.
What's happening between the, you know, this me and this other person? And I also think, you know, if you are a parent with children, you know, for me, my children are actually, I call it, they're my Jedi trainers, because how quickly am I able to get back to being that calm, clear-headed parent versus the parent that's maybe getting triggered by something that they're doing with repeated behavior. It's exactly the same in the workplace as well. You know, how do I work effectively with this other person in order to get the best from both of us? So I always think that, you know, if you can always bring that curiosity and that compassion and that courage, you're more likely to behave in that way and act in that way. And in turn, they sense that. They sense that, look, you know, we're in it together. Let's help each other out, rather than being at, you know,
at each other's throats. Or absolutely. And over time, like in the workplace, or like in your personal setting, these problems can become bigger, and they can result in real tension between people, and they can result in negative outcomes. But like you said, just kind of being present in the moment and being conscious of your thoughts, your words, your actions, and bringing that all together. And like you said, and I was going to say, being aware of your thoughts in terms of like where it's negative, to come to a point of like reframe as soon as you can, to look at the bigger picture, so then you can get out of that mental frustration that you might be in that particular moment of that. Because often people say or do things in the moment, and then later on they regret it, because they realize it actually wasn't as big as it felt like it was at the moment. And kind of somebody may have exaggerated something, or made it bigger than it was, but the repercussions that are felt can be worse than they absolutely need to be. And you're absolutely right. In life, there's always going to be situations where we trigger other people and people trigger us. And it's always about, you know, our own sort of genetic or psychological makeup, like, you know, what the voids are there, and what we need to feel fulfilled, or what our internal beliefs are. There's so much going on when you delve into it, that actually, when you do this inner work that we're talking about, which probably goes before coming to a state of this mental fitness, you realize that why I'm doing certain things and how I should change them. And then that automatically changes your relationships with your colleagues, friends, family, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, for me, it's always starting with a daily intention. Who am I being today? And also,
I love that.
I have that mental pause and that mental break throughout the day, just to check in with myself.
Yeah. So do you practice any form of meditation or gratitude journaling, anything like that?
So for me, I'm very much using a combination of things. Gratitude is definitely a big one, and it's one that I hugely rely on. I think for me, it's about these mental breaks throughout the day. So I think, for me, it's, these mental pauses, as I say, to get back to being present so I can draw more fully on, that other part of my brain. So it's throughout the day. It's not just a morning exercise. It's pausing throughout the day and having a break. I think that's combined with movement to help us get into that state. So for me, yeah, absolutely. Gratitude, and then combined with these mental pauses throughout the day, and getting outside as well.
Sorry, what was the last one? Getting
outside as
Oh
well.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, getting into nature. That's when you can really feel your presence, can't you? Especially if it's nice and sunny as it is today. And you can feel nature, and you can feel that it's alive, and it's just beautiful, isn't it? It's a beautiful experience, because you can, especially when you have like corporate job, you can be you can be chained to your PC or your laptop, your devices, your phone, and you can really lose that connection to the outside world and to the outside what's natural, benefits of nature that we can experience. So
it's one of the reasons I always encourage people when in coaching to have outdoor sessions, in nature, to disengage from a device and, we can talk. So, you're on your phone, you've got your headset on and you're walking, because again, the movement combined with the visual cues is calming your brain literally in the moment. And it's a great way to get people away from this screen.
It's true. I've actually done a couple of sessions outside myself, like say for example in a garden, with beautiful flowers, beautiful smells, and it's just amazing. The person naturally, and you yourself, feel so much more relaxed, and I think you get so much more out of the session. So that's a really good recommendation. What about other things? Like I was thinking about, for example, expanding your comfort zone. So doing things out of your norm, forming like a sort of stable emotional and social foundation to expand your growth. So stretching yourself to new challenges that helps with just being more assertive and being more resilient, because you'll never know unless you try. And often in life, there's so many people that are so scared of doing things or making a move in a certain direction that they'll hold themselves back for so long, and then maybe look at somebody else that's doing it and wondering how can they do that, and why is it so difficult for me? And it really is baby steps, but it's definitely taking the steps, not just holding yourself back, because obviously that can lead to regret. So I think that as you expand your comfort zone, as you experience new things and you embrace new opportunities, you become stronger mentally, because your brain is more capable of dealing with more complex challenges, issues, problems, create better solutions. So I feel that really helps as well.
Yeah, absolutely. At a very basic level, we're either driven by fear or we're driven by love. So exactly as you say, I mean, it does take courage, right? Especially in situations where we may perceive it as fearful for whatever reason. It's usually driven from something in our past that scared us in some way.
There's always a reason for it.
So when we can face these fears and start taking steps towards what we're fearing, absolutely. I mean, that's got huge benefits for our the way we feel about ourselves. Yeah, it's a really good point.
Yes, as they say, your best life is sitting on the other side of your fear. So all the opportunities, your ideas, interests, it's really, it might feel, it's almost like a short-term loss for a long-term gain. So it might feel scary in the moment, but in the long term, you won't regret it, and you obviously will feel better that you actually took that step, a leap of faith almost. So that's lots of great food for thought there, so thank you. So just to conclude, then we're going to now talk about, let's sell it to the listeners and the viewers. What are the bottom line results for improved mental fitness, the benefits of mental fitness for people? Why should people invest in their mental fitness?
So I mean, I said it right at the beginning, but when you look at the different areas in our life, mental fitness can boost performance, improve our well-being, and strengthen our relationships. So when you look at bottom line results, You know, you can use your mental, emotional energy more efficiently. You can improve your ability to develop others. You're better at teamwork and collaboration. So that's all bottom line performance results. In terms of well-being, you improve your happiness, you manage your stress better, you improve your self-confidence. And then when it comes to strengthening relationships, you improve relationships, you're better at conflict management because you actually deal with it and you handle it better. And you're also improve your empathy. So empathy has become a huge area within the corporate world. And it's not empathy for others, it's empathy for yourself as well as part of this learning journey. So when we view things as we're learning, that's when we can absolutely cover all of these different areas. So it's got huge benefits, huge bottom line results for organizations and individuals.
Yeah, in line with something we mentioned earlier, the ability to respond and not react. So we feel more in control of ourselves, more in control of our thoughts, so we can respond in a more rational way and less emotional way. I've seen that so many times in life where people respond emotionally. So it definitely gives you more control over your mind, which means you have more control over your life, right? Also, people are able to develop positive habits in all areas of their life because they're often seeking better opportunities. So I know, especially with the amount of stress that people have these days, a lot of people result to negative habits. They are consumed by negative habits and often even addictions. So with mental fitness, that can really help in that area because some of the clients that I have, they could have various different addictions. Like sometimes people have addictions to food. They can have addictions to even an addiction to work. They could be a workaholic. And it's really hard to get yourself out of that mindset and actually invest in things that are more positive for you. So you're able to develop more positive habits that comes along with that. And overall, I believe that it really helps people with their confidence and optimism. So absolutely, your relationship with yourself becomes stronger, and also your relationship with other people. And as you said, the self-compassion and the empathy increases as a result of the mental fitness. So overall, I would just say that people would have a sense of like a better sense of contentment and a sense of like a zest for life, ability to laugh and have fun. And I think that's the most important thing, because I think obstacles, problems, adversity is kind of a given throughout life. Nobody can sit there and guarantee that my life is going to be perfect for the rest of my life, but the ability to kind of laugh and have fun throughout the experience, the ability to detach yourself mentally and look at things from an outsider's perspective almost, and just enjoy the journey is so important, and not become too consumed emotionally. It is so important, and it's difficult to do, but if we can do it, then we will definitely benefit from that.
Yeah, I love how you just brought in laughter there. I mean, let's face it, laughter is like a release of tension, isn't it?
It is.
Release of tension, but also when we laugh, I mean, it's all the feel-good hormones that we're releasing as well.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So it's really, really important to have all of those things. So it's been a really inspiring conversation, and I've learned so much for you, and it's just great to talk to somebody who's actually been on the journey, who's obviously invested in her own mental fitness, got lots of experience of working with people and helping them to develop their own mental fitness as well. And as we said before, it's a journey. It's not necessarily a destination. It's an ongoing, ever-evolving journey, I would say. So is there anything you would like to add to conclude the topic of today?
Yep. The only thing, what I would like to add is just to say that we can all improve our mental fitness. The key is having the commitment to do so. So like anything in life, you have to have the commitment firstly, and the motivation. Why do I want to change this? Where do I want to operate daily, etc. So that bigger why piece. What's the why behind it?
The why. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
And the stronger it is, the more likely you are to be committed and to invest in developing that mental fitness. So that's great. So before we conclude, I'd like to invite you to tell the viewers and the listeners where people can find you if they'd like to work with you, and anything else you'd like to add about yourself. That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. So if you just go to LinkedIn, I would love if you invite me to connect. So it's under Hazel Martin. So just put in Hazel Martin on LinkedIn, and I would love to connect, and you can find out more. So just to add, I offer 6-week mental fitness training programs through Positive Intelligence. So I'm trained by Shirzad Shemaine, Positive Intelligence. I'm one of the first coaches in the UK.
Wow, congratulations.
With that model. So I've used it in a number of companies and with individuals as well. And I also use coaching alongside that. So it's been a great pleasure, NARI, to be on this podcast, and thank you for inviting me to be part of it.
Yeah, it's been beautiful, an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.
Everyone,
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.